Okay. You are able to see this slide now?
Yes, sir.
Okay, fine.
Yes,
So
sir.
this is the list of practicals prescribed by university, and you must have seen in the Google Drive where I have uploaded the CAD tools. There are two folders, part A and part B. It comes from this list of experiments. So according to university in part A, we are expected to perform five, not five, in fact, they have prescribed five, but we can perform any four. Which four we are going to perform? We will come to the next slide. Part B, there are three assignments to be done. So in part A, university has given us a freedom of not doing one, but in part B, we don't have any option. So not only I have removed that assignment from part A, which we will not do, at the same time, I have reframed the statement given by university. So if you see here, in part A, university is using this kind of words to write VHDL code, simulate with test bench, synthesis, implement on PLD. Now I have changed the sequence because this sequence is wrong. Writing a VHDL code, these words are not appropriate because even a comp IT engineer writes a code. So a technical equivalent of these four words to write a VHDL code would be to write a VHDL model. So we call it as modeling. And after you write the VHDL code, which is called as modeling, you are supposed to do synthesis, which is followed by simulation, and then we are supposed to implement. That is why, and part B, university has told to prepare CMOS layout in selected technology, simulate with and without capacitive load, comment on rise and fall times. Now, this is too verbose because it can be cut short. And another thing is that simulate with and without capacitive load, this particular thing cannot be done for all the assignments. In fact, it is done only for inverter. That is why in the refined statements I have removed. So the refined list of experiments looks something like this. So part A is called as modeling, that is writing a VHDL code, followed by synthesizing the code, simulating the test bench which is written for that particular model, and finally implementation on PLD, that is downloading. So we can summarize part A assignments as modeling, synthesis, simulation and downloading. And out of these four steps, modeling, synthesis and simulation, these are done on a CAD tool, and using that CAD tool, a particular file which is called as a bit file or a programming file or a programming stream is downloaded on the hardware, which happens to be an FPGA. So if you compare the university list, we have removed the fifth one. So we are not going to perform keypad interface, but we'll perform 4-bit ALU with the following functionalities: universal shift register, FIFO memory and LCD interface. And part B, prepare CMOS layout, simulate and analyze. And analysis means once you get the output waveforms, you are going to compare those waveforms, extract some kinds of information such as delay time, rise time, fall time, etc. So in part B, we are going to perform the following three assignments. The first assignment happens to be the largest, that is inverter, that is a NOT gate, NAND gate, NOR gate and a half adder. Second assignment is 2:1 multiplexer using logic gates and transmission gates, and third is single bit SRAM cell. Although university has given this order, it is not possible for us to follow this order because the first assignment, fourth bit, that is half adder, it is not possible for a student to make the layout of an half adder, because half adder itself will contain 28 MOSFETs. And when I show you the demo today how to make the layout for a simple one input system, that is a NOT gate, you will come to know that it is not easy. That is why our flow will be inverter, NAND, NOR gates. After that we will learn how to make a transmission gate layout and simulated. Then using transmission gate we will build a 2:1 multiplexer. Then we will convert two such multiplexers into XOR and AND gate. From second year you know that half adder is a combination of two gates, namely an XOR gate and an AND gate. So we will first learn how to make a transmission gate. We will combine two transmission gates to form a 2:1 multiplexer. Then we will use one 2:1 mux to make XOR gate. another 2:1 mux to make an AND gate, and will combine both of them to realize half adder. And then third is single bit SRAM cell, which is very interesting. It in turn contains two parts, that is SRAM cell using NMOS switch, and second is SRAM cell using a TG switch, because when you implement an SRAM cell using an NMOS switch, when the output is logic 1, at that time it is a bad one or a weak one, which is not desired. But when you replace the NMOS switches in the SRAM cell with transmission gate switch, then you get both strong 0 and strong 1 at the output. So this was a briefing about the part A assignments and part B assignments. Now we will directly go to classification of CAD tools. So CAD stands for computer aided design, and as you know that in every field of engineering, without CAD tools you can never ever implement products. Whatever is your paper design has to be injected or inserted into a CAD tool, and CAD tool will provide you a facility for simulation. And then when you see the simulation, you can compare that, okay, my technical specifications before I started a design were 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and the simulation is also giving me outputs 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. And then what you do is that you compare the simulator's outputs with your technical specifications. If there is a deviation in one or more of them, you will go to redesign the system, come back and re-simulate until your simulator's outputs do not match with your technical specifications. You will never ever proceed to realizing your system in a product form. This is the classification of CAD tools for VLSI. Basically, CAD tools are classified into two broad categories: front-end tools and back-end tools. So even in the field of computer and IT engineering, they also have these kind of tools. An example of front-end tool would be a tool which will help us to make a graphical user interface, for example Visual Basic or maybe Visual Java, Visual C++, whatever it is. And at the same time, they have backend tools which actually are nothing but databases such as DBase, and for example Oracle is there, many more are there. So just like comp IT people have front-end tools and back-end tools, similarly VLS engineers also have front-end tools and back-end tools. Now front-end tools in turn are of at least 4 types: synthesis tools, place and route tools, abbreviated as PAR, floor planning tools, and static timing analysis or STA tools. Backend tools are classified into at least 2 subtypes, that is layout editors and parasitic extraction tools. So please understand that whichever tools we are having in VLSI lab, we have to belong them to one of these two categories, that is front end or back end. And in turn, we should know that the tool which I'm using now is which kind of front end tool or which kind of back end tool. That will give us a clear idea. So we are going to use 3 tools for VLSI practicals. First is a synthesis tool whose name is Xilinx ISE, that is Integrated Software Environment. That is this. Xilinx ISE is Integrated Software Environment, and this particular CAD tool is an example of synthesis tool, but it also has facility for placement and routing, and it also has facility for doing floor planning. That is why Xilinx ISE tool I have called as a tool which is belonging to 3 subtypes, that is, it is a synthesis tool, it is a PAR tool, and it is also a floor planning tool. And the second tool which we have is called as Microwind. And Microwind tool is not only a layout editor, but it also gives us a facility for extracting parasitics, that is R and C in the layout. That is, a Microwind belongs to 2 subtypes, that is layout editors and parasitic extraction tools, while Xilinx ISE happens to be a front-end tool. In detail, it is a synthesis tool, a PAR tool, and also a floor planning tool. Yeah, so these are the 4 tools which are available in our lab: Xilinx ISE 14.7, Microwind 3.1, Cadence undergraduate UG bundle, and 4th is DSCH. Actually, it is DSCH. I did not correct the the typing. It is actually DSCH, which stands for Digital Schematic Editor, in bracket S2L. Now I'll tell you what do these mean. So if you note, I have used 3 different colors for 4 tools intentionally. Xilinx ISE 14.7 is in blue color, Microwind and Cadence are in white color, and DSCH is in green color, because these 4 tools belong to 3 different categories. As mentioned earlier, ISE 14.7 is a synthesis tool, pair tool, and also floor planning tool. So it is in a separate category, so blue color. Microwind and Cadence are layout editors and parasitic extraction tools. So I put them in second category. So both of them have white color, and DSCH is in green color. S2L stands for schematic to layout. So when I give a demo of these tools today, you will understand why this tool is called as an S2L tool or schematic to layout. Basically, this tool provides us the facility to make schematics, either transistor level schematics or gate level schematics, and then it provides us a facility to generate a Verilog program which is an equivalent of that schematic. And after that Verilog program has been generated by DSCH, what we do is that we go to tool number 2 and then we import that Verilog program from within tool number 2, and we tell Microwind that please generate a layout for it. Everything will become more clear when I give a demo of all 3 tools. Cadence, I cannot give a demo because I am currently taking the session on Windows 10, and Cadence compulsorily is a tool which runs on Red Hat Enterprise Linux version 7. So it is there on a different machine, and I think so Teams is not available for Red Hat Linux. So I will not be able to give you a demo of tool 3, but I will surely give you a demo of tool number 1, 2 and 4. Now, part A. So part A means Xilinx ISE tools and steps. So some technical information about what are the hardware software requirements, which are also mentioned in the mail which I sent you before 3 days. So the tool's name is ISE 14.7. Why 14.7? Because this particular version which we are using in our lab was released 6 years back, that is 2014, and this particular edition is a 7th upgradation in 2014. So 14.7 means Xilinx ISE released in 2014 and 7th revision. OS requirements available for Windows 7, Windows 10, Ubuntu. So 14.7 was released actually for Windows 7. That is why when we install this on Windows 10, there are some configuration problems. Certain shortcuts have to be changed and certain internal files have to be deleted, which I have mentioned very clearly in my YouTube channel video number 1, which is 37 minutes long. Some of the students have told that yes, by seeing the video, they have been successful in installing the tool. So I advise all the remaining students, that is 56 students who have reported to be having laptops with them, wherever they are advised to install this tool as soon as possible. And third platform is Ubuntu. So it is also available. So when you visit www.xilinx.com and downloads, you will be able to do a search and you will be able to find the Ubuntu as well as Windows 10 and Windows 7 versions of this tool. Category, it's a front-end tool. Subcategory, synthesis tool, made by a company called as Xilinx USA, which was founded in 1984. If you want to use this tool, these are the different steps and the sub tools which are needed. As I told you that part A assignment is divided into 4 parts: modeling, synthesis, simulation and downloading. So for synthesis, the sub tool available in this ISE is called as XST, that is Xilinx synthesis tool. The second tool which will help us do simulation is called as iSim or integrated simulator. And the third sub tool which is available for downloading is called as Plan Ahead. There is a reason why Xilinx company has given the simulator's name as iSim or integrated simulator, because till the year 2009, that is Xilinx ISE 9.0, they were taking help of third-party simulators, especially from companies like Mentor Graphics, with the name ModelSim. So in 2009, when people used to use this tool, at that time there was no inbuilt simulator, but they were taking help of third-party tools like ModelSim. But after 2009, Xilinx built its own simulator and it integrated inside the tool. That is why it gave the name as integrated simulator. So these are the three steps: synthesis, simulation, and downloading, which are performed by three different subtools in the design suite, that is XST, ISIM, and Plan Ahead. Part A. So now I'll give you some snapshots about how the flow goes about. So when you are going to perform Part A assignment, you are going to use Xilinx ISE tool, and this is the okay fine. Before I actually show the screenshots of the tool, I would like to explain this concept that how modeling, simulation, modeling, synthesis, simulation, and downloading in VLSI practicals is going to be analogous to what you have already done before, right from first year. So see here in the upper half of the slide, we see that to the extreme left, we have a C program. The C program is given to what is called as a C compiler, which happens to be a software. And the C compiler's output is seen on the command prompt or wherever you want it to echo. So basically, there is a C program which is written in English-like language called as high level of abstraction. It is compiled by what is called as a compiler, which converts your English-like program into ones and zeros, because this program is ultimately going to be executed by the microprocessor, which understands only ones and zeros. So in this particular flow, we see that our journey begins with a program, and at the end, it is again an output which is not hardware. Is it okay? So yes, hardware is executing the program, but then we don't have a dedicated chip or an ASIC kind of thing. So you have to change the program, right? So you understand that for a C programmer, writing a program, compiling the program, and seeing the output is all on your PC or a virtual platform. The only difference between a comp and IT engineer writing a program, irrespective of which language they are using, their journey starts on the machine and ends on the machine. It starts in a tool and ends on the tool. But the story for a ENTC engine is different. So I'll give an example from my third year. All of you must have written programs for microcontroller, maybe for Atmega, Arduino, Raspberry Pi. So our journey begins on a CAD tool, say MPLAB or a Keel cross compiler. So there you write an assembly language program which conforms to the instruction set of the microcontroller. It is written in an IDE, that is integrated development environment, and that IDE will do syntax checking and will convert it into what is called as a hex file. And there is a facility in the tool by which you can download that hex file into that particular microcontroller, and you can see the outputs. You can read the register content by using what is called as an emulator. A similar kind of journey all of us have to go through in Part A assignments. Only difference is, instead of an assembly language program, we are going to have a VHDL program. Instead of an assembler or a C compiler, we are going to have a synthesis tool, that is Xilinx ISE. This tool, just like a compiler compiles the program, assembler assembles the program and converts into a hex code. Similarly, Xilinx ISE is going to synthesize our VHDL program, and then it is going to generate what is called as a programming file, and using a download cable which is called as a JTAG cable, we are going to dump that program in the form of ones and zeros into our hardware, specifically which is called as an FPGA or field programmable gate array. So you can consider FPGA is comparable to a microcontroller, and both of them are comparable to a processor who actually executes the C program. Yeah, so this is the graphical user interface of Xilinx ISE, and just like any other IDE, the user interface of Xilinx tool also gives us many windows. Naturally, one of the windows will be a workspace where you are going to write your VHDL model or a program, and then there will be facility provided by the tool to synthesize this program and also simulate it and also generate the programming file. If you see here carefully in this particular screen, you see bottom left corner, little bit above, you are seeing something called as processes for source, and there you are seeing synthesize XST. There are tick marks, and then below that there is implement design, and below that there is generate programming file. So we have to double click this option in the tool when we want to download that program into our hardware. That is details, but I'm just telling you that this IDE or ISE will provide you all facilities to perform synthesis, simulate your model and also download our program into the required hardware. Other things I will tell you subsequently when I actually flash the tool screen. And then the second screen, just like we see here, you are seeing a program here, library IEEE, use IEEE dot. These are called as library statements of language. Then there is entity, and gate, is, port. This is called as entity declaration. And after that, there is another section which reads as architecture behavioral of and gate is. This is called as architecture body. So the first section is library statements, LS. Second, the green colors are actually comments. We have to neglect them. They don't contain any logic. Next section is entity declaration, ED. And the third section is called as architecture body, AB. Okay. So here I have written a program which is called as a test bench program. This program is again a VHDL program, and its responsibility is to generate all possible input combinations and fire it into our system. And then after the test vectors or all possible input combinations are fired into our system, then depending upon what logic I have written in this program here, the simulator will generate waveforms according to that. And by simply seeing the waveforms, I can confirm that yes, I have written a program for an AND gate. So in the simulation waveforms, when my inputs are 0, 0, I am getting output 0. And only when my inputs are 1 and 1, only then the output is 1, which confirms that my VHDL program is logically correct. This is called as the simulation step. And then this is how the waveforms look like. So basically this program here is a test bench program for a 3 input AND gate. Naturally, if it is a 3 input AND gate, the output of the gate will not be 1 till all 3 inputs are 1. So we can see here that only here, that is after about 380 nanoseconds, when A, B and C or X, Y and Z are 1, only then we are getting a output equal to 1. Otherwise, for all remaining 7 combinations from 0, 0, 0 to 1, 1, 0, the output is simply remaining 0, which confirms that our VHDL model is functionally correct. So this is the GUI of ISE. This is a test bench program, and these are the simulation waveforms. Now we go to the tool number 2. Basically part B, as I told you that part B contains 2 tools. First is Microwind and second is DSCH. So if you are going to use Microwind, that is part B first tool, the GUI is going to look, okay, before GUI, what are the steps? So the tool name is Microwind 3.1. The operating system it is available for is Windows 7 or 10. Category backend tool, subcategory layout editor, and company is Microwind USA. And the steps which we are supposed to follow when we are using Microwind is like this: transistor level schematic. So the starting point for part B assignments is a transistor level schematic. For example, if you want to make the layout for a NOT gate, then on your paper you are supposed to draw the correct circuit diagram, which involves one PMOS transistor and one NMOS transistor. And after making all the correct connections between drains, sources and gate terminals, we are going to transfer that transistor level schematic using a certain process in the tool. And after making the layout, we are supposed to perform ERC, that is electrical rule check, design rule check, DRC. Once the tool reports that your layout does not have any ERC and DRC errors, we will perform the simulation. We have waveforms, and then we will have our interpretations depending upon design specifications. So 5 steps are used for part B: transistor level schematic, making layout, ERC, DRC, simulation and interpretations. The user interface of Microwind looks something like this. So you'll be very happy to see, oh, here there is a tool, there is a workspace, and we are having a grid. Let me make it clear that such grids are seen in almost every CAD tool available to an EN3C student. Proteus has a grid like this, Multisim has a grid like this, Ultiboard has a grid like this. But the difference between the grid seen in Proteus and the grid seen in Microwind is different. The grid or the workspace which is seen in Proteus, it represents a printed circuit board. That is why the distance between 2 dots in the grid of Proteus is in centimeters. But because Microwind is an IC design tool, it is a layout editor. That is why the distance between 2 dots seen in Microwind workspace, it is in nanometers. You can please note in the slide, just below the menu bar, you are seeing something called as phi lambda. and below that it is written 0.250 micrometers. If we convert it, it is 250 nanometers. So this particular scale says that the distance between two dots on the screen is 5 lambda equal to 250 nano. In other words, 1 lambda is equal to 50 nanometer. So the distance between two dots in the workspace of Microwind editor is only 50 nanometers. That is, the workspace of layout editors represent a silicon wafer. I repeat, the workspace of a layout editor represents a silicon wafer, while the workspace of tools like Multisim and Proteus represent PCB. Hence, there the dimensions are in centimeters, while all the dimensions in layout editors are in nanometers. So here you are seeing I have made a layout for a CMOS NOT gate. The green colored boundary represents a PMOS transistor, and a similar structure below but without a boundary is an NMOS transistor. And I have made all the connections which I'll make in front of you to tell that how I made a layout, and we will do the simulation also. The simulation of inverters looks like this. So we see that the green colored waveform is the input and red is output, and we can clearly see that when Vin is 1, Vout is 0. When Vin is 0, Vout is 1. That means these waveforms show that our layout actually performs the function of a CMOS inverter. Part B, second tool, DSCH, that is Digital Schematic Editor. These are the steps to be performed if we are using this tool. This tool also is from the same company. It is a backend tool, but it is a little specialized tool because it helps us to convert schematics into layout using some shortcut ways. I will tell you what is the reason for this company to make this tool. And it is available for Windows platform. At least I don't know whether it is available for a Linux platform. And there are 7 steps to be performed if you want to use this editor. First is you should be having your gate or transistor level schematic drawn on paper, and then you will transfer it into the tool. You will perform a simulation to see if your schematic is functionally correct. You will tell the tool to generate a Verilog equivalent of your schematic, and after the Verilog file has been stored in a particular location in a hard disk, then I again open Microwind tool and I will tell it that please compile the Verilog file, and Microwind will generate a CMOS layout for my Verilog file. I will again perform simulation, and I will compare the simulations given by Microwind tool with the simulations which were given by DSCH, and if both the simulations are correct, I conclude that my schematic is correct. This is the user interface of DSCH. Because it has been made by the same company, it looks similarly, but there is a difference in the toolbar. Okay, so you see here there is a symbol library, and in Microwind we have something else. So here if we see to the right, we have something called as palette. It is called as palette of layers. On the other hand, when we use DSCH tool, it is actually a tool library. Okay, and here we are having different kind of gates available. So this is the schematic of a 2:1 mux. So some of you may be surprised at how is this a 2:1 mux. When I write it on my screen, you will understand why it looks like this. So I will not explain this now. I will make it, and then we will tell why it is a 2:1 multiplexer. And just to brief, I have given I0 as a high frequency clock. I1 is a lower frequency clock, and select line is another clock, but the frequency of select line is much smaller than the frequencies of I0 and I1. So naturally, you know that in a multiplexer, when select line is equal to 0, this input I0 will be sent to the output, and when select line is 1, the I1 will be sent. That is, in the waveforms, what do we expect? When select line is 0, I0 is selected, so high frequency waveform will come outside. When select line will be 1, I1 is selected, and low frequency waveform will come. This is how it should look like. You see here clearly, the first waveform is I0. We see it is a high frequency clock. I1 is having a lower frequency than I0, and select line is having the least frequency. So we can clearly see that initially when select line is 0, the input I0 is selected, and you see at the output we are getting a high frequency clock. As soon as select line becomes 1, the input I1 of the multiplexer is selected, and because I1 is a lower frequency signal, it is coming out. We can clearly see that when select line shuffles from 0 to 1 and 1 to 0, the output actually creates a high frequency waveform followed by low frequency waveform, and this cycle continues. Yes. So what is this? It is nothing but this. This particular schematic which I made in the tool DSCH, I generated a Verilog program out of it, and when I gave it to Microwind tool, it generated a layout like this. So this is the layout of 2:1 multiplexer which was generated from the Verilog file. And we see here, is this layout functionally correct? Check the simulation output. This is the simulation. So I have compared. You see upper half shows the simulation of DSCH tool, and you see the nature. And below is the output of the layout. We see that they are perfectly similar. Okay. The same kind of waveform. Just observe the output of the DSCH simulation and observe the output of Microwind simulation. We see that they are same. That means what? My schematic is correct. So this was the end of introduction. And what is the time? I am not having a watch with me.
$3:43.
3:43. Okay, no problem.
It's
So
3:45.
3:45. Okay, so we have another half an hour, maybe 20 minutes. I can run through all the three tools. So what I'll do is that first I will give you a brief demo of Xilinx ISE, and let us keep the same system. In the sense, what we will do is that we will write a VHDL model for 2:1 multiplexer, and we will see what kind of waveforms we get from ISE. Then what we will do is that we will make the same thing in DSCH and Microwind. Okay, so directly I'll open the tool. So okay. Yeah, so you are seeing, are you able to see my desktop?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so you are seeing different icons, right? So our
Yes,
icons
sir.
of interest is the first one, Xilinx ISE, that is for part A. The second tool is here, Microwind 3.1, and the third tool is DSCH. So this is a very heavy tool. You know that the installable is 6.17 GB, and when you install the system edition, then it takes 20 GB of space. So my laptop's configuration is i7 8th generation, and I have 8 GB of DDR4 RAM, and I am also having a 256 GB SSD. So with this kind of a configuration, still it takes a few seconds. It takes few seconds to open. So if you have a configuration less than this, then don't expect it to open like flash of a lightning. Okay. Now you tell me, what are you able to see here? Yes. Students, what are you able to see?
Sir, it's ID
Not
sort
yet.
of.
Very good. Are you able to see the ID here?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Okay, fine. Yeah, so what I will do, you will not ask
Yes,
me
sir.
anything or think anything why sir is doing like this. That will be taught in the subsequent lectures. I'll just rush through all the steps. Basically understand, our aim is to write a VHDL model for a 2:1 multiplexer. Okay. Yeah. So I will close the previous project. File, new project, and I will just write down MUX21. I will Control A, Control C. I will take this name into the clipboard of operating system. I will make sure that HDL is selected. I will say next, and then here I will select the hardware, that is no company board, none specified, general purpose IC, Spartan 3E family, XE250E, PQ package 208 pin, speed grade -5. I go down, XST synthesis tool, iSIM simulator, preferred language, it should be VHDL, not Verilog, and all is well till now. Say next, say finish. Okay. After I come here, I will go and select the target technology. I will say right click new source. I will tell the tool I want to write a VHDL model. I select VHDL model. I will paste the name. Make sure that this is selected. Add to project is checked. I'll say next. Here I am having a facility to define all my signals. I will change the architecture name to mux21 underscore arch. The first input of multiplexer is I0. Second is I1. The third input is select line and output is Y. And because Y is output, I will change the direction of the signal from in to out. All remaining else have directions in. Next, finish. Okay. So now to a larger area, what I will do is that I will dock this particular window. I have a larger space and I will undock it afterwards. I will delete all the comments by the tool. I will delete another set of comments also, and I will do some kind of a coding here. I will say process I0, comma I1, comma third select line S. I will say begin, and I will write my logic here. What I will say is that when select line is 0, send I0 to output. When select line is 1, send I1 to the output. So this is how I write it. I will say if S equal to single tick 0, then I will say Y is assigned I0. Will say else Y is assigned I1, and then just like in C, you have to close the loop. I will close the if with end if. I will close the process with end process semicolon, and my job is done. So once I feel that my program has been written, I will undock the window. I will dock it again, and then I will tell the tool to check the syntax. So what I do after selecting this particular VHDL file, I will go to the process window and I will just select this and I will say right click, or I will say synthesize. So we see that it is performing synthesis, and once it is done, I'm expecting a white arrow against a green background. So there are three kinds of arrows you get. This is called as success, second warning. So just like in engineering, we have all clear with ATKT and YD. Similarly, this arrow indicates all clear. There is one arrow called as white exclamation against a yellow background. It is called as with ATKT. And third is a white cross against a red background, that is called as YD. So I will tell you what it means. That is when you have a tick mark, an exclamation and a cross, what are the different things which you can do and what you cannot do, right? So our synthesis is complete. Let us see what is the schematic generated inside. And we see that this is our black box. I0, I1 and S are the inputs. Y is output. Let us go and see what is there inside this black box. Okay, so I will say zoom all. We are clearly seeing that this is a multiplexer. It is nothing but S bar ANDed with I0 or with S ANDed with I1. So Y is equal to S bar ANDed with I0 or with S ANDed with I1. So nothing but the Boolean expression of a multiplexer. Okay. Another schematic we will open. This is a technology schematic. We go inside and we have something like this. And this is the schematic. We are seeing equation is that of a multiplexer. Truth table is there. There is a K-map also. Okay. So red cells indicate max terms or zeros, and green cells indicate min terms or 1. Okay. This is what you have studied in second year of engineer, maybe first year, maybe 12th standard. Okay. Our job is over now. Synthesis is complete. I will go and write a test bench now. So what I will do is that I will select simulation here, select the target technology, right click new source. I will tell the tool I want to write a VHDL test bench. Again, I will go like this. I will give some kind of intuitive name, reselect the option, next, finish. Okay. So now it will give me a skeleton for the test bench. Again, to have more space for coding, I will float this window and then I will delete all the comments here. I will delete another set of comments here. I don't need a clock because my system is combinational, not sequential. I will also delete the construct which is provided by the tool for clock generation. And this is where I will write 3 particular processes which will generate the test vectors. So first for S, and it's very easy. Once you write a process, you can copy paste it. So I will say S is assigned not of S semicolon wait for, I will say 200 nanoseconds semicolon. My job is over. I am going to write similar processes for I0 and I1. So I will simply say select all, Control C, and I will paste it 2 times. Okay, 2 times. The second process I am going to write it for I0, and here I will just write down I0 gets not of I0, but I will simply change the period. So I will make them high frequency signals. I will make them like 25 nanoseconds, and here I will again change the process label name, make it I1. I will change it that I1 gets not of I1, and I will change the period. Now we want the I1 signal to be faster, that is double. Okay, so I will say let it be, okay, so we will make it, we'll make this guy as 10 nanoseconds faster, and I will make this guy as 50 nanoseconds, that is it is okay. So sorry, yeah, okay, fine, no problem. So now my program is over, and then I will dock it, come back to the IDE, and now after my test bench has been written, I will select the test bench program here. I will expand this and I will say check behavioral syntax. Expect a similar kind. Yeah, so it's done. I will run the simulation model. Are you able to see the screen also? Yes, students? Yes?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, are you able to see this window? This
Yes.
one?
Yes, sir.
Green colored window, are you seeing?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Black
Very
color.
good. Yeah. Black colored window. So what I will do, I will just click this. Okay, fine. इसको note कर लो, हाँ? The same kind of waveforms we are expecting to be generated after simulation from tool number 2 and 3. You see here what is happening. I0 is a high frequency signal. I1 is slower, and then there is select line. You see here? Yes. So when you see here, when select line is 1, I1 is selected, that is the lower frequency signal is coming outside. When select line is becoming 0, I0 is selected and I0 is the high frequency signal. You see here? So this is the functionality of a multiplexer. Okay. This was the demo of simulation. That is, so we have seen how to write a VHDL model, synthesize it and all simulate it. So immediately I shift to tool number 2. I'll close this, close this, close this also. Okay. So now fine. Are you able to see this black colored screen? Yes,
Yes,
students,
sir.
are you able to see black colored screen?
Yes.
Yeah. Are you seeing palette of layers here? Are you seeing something I'm moving on the screen?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Very good.
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
Okay, fine. Okay. What I will do, I will make a simple CMOS inverter here. See how I make it. Okay. So I will go to MOS generator. I will select PMOS. I will expand this. I will say generate device. Here it is. Again, I will use the same tool to generate an NMOS device. I'll put it here. Now they are not aligned. So what I will do is that I will zoom in. I will use stretch and move, and I will bring this particular NMOS exactly below the PMOS. I will use polysilicon. I will do some kind of a drawing such that they are aligned. Use metal one, connect the drains together. Okay, so there is a AK-47 also here. I can also undo. There is only one undo available here. Okay, so okay, I will connect it. I will take VDD, connect it to source of PMOS. I will connect ground, connect it to source of NMOS. I will take another VDD and I will tie the N well to higher potential. I will give a clock input here. and I will name it as Vin, and I will say assign. I will take an I, that is observation node, put it here, name it as Vout. I will say assign visible in menu. So my layout is over. Now I will just do DRC, that is like this. Congratulations, you are seeing the message. No design rule error. Congratulations, 0.6% memory used. Now we have reached the last step, that is simulation. I will tell the tool to do simulation. Here it is. Okay. So are you seeing the same thing which I showed you in the PPT presentation? Yes, it is. Now what I will do is that I will uncheck some measurements. Okay. And I will say reset. Okay. And to appreciate that, yes, it is an inverter, I will reduce the time scale still more, and I'm here. Clearly able to see that when input is 1, output is 0. When input is 0, output is 1. I want to show you that how this simulation is different than what you have done in multisim when I show you the frequency. I will just say calculate frequency and see what you get. Please students note in the output waveform the frequency is 5 gigahertz. Did you ever simulate an inverter in your second year which was operating at gigahertz frequencies? This proves that Microvin tool is a tool for IC design. It is meant for simulating circuits which are expected to operate in gigahertz range. Okay, I will just show you here the MOS generator, how it is actually in nanometer. If we click MOS generator here, we are clearly seeing here length of MOS is 0.100 micron, that is 100 nanometer. Please understand one thing, that we have made the layout for a 100 nanometer CMOS inverter and it is operating successfully without any glitches at 5 gigahertz. Right? So this was the simulation of tool number 2. Directly I jump to tool number 3 now. That is, there is nothing more to be said at this level at least. So I will close this. I will close this, and it asks you a very different question, save the layout before leaving. I say no. Do you really want to leave me? Okay. So I'll say yes. Okay. Now I go and double click another shortcut on the screen, which is DSCH3. Okay. Yeah. So before I teach you this, what I will do is that we will first make something on paper. Okay. So it's here. Are you able to see OneNote here? Students, are you able to see this screen, OneNote?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So what I will do is that we will write something here like this. Okay. So this lines, grid lines. Yeah. Okay. Okay, fine. So these are the two inputs of mux, I0, I1, select line S, output Y. So the truth table goes something like this: select line and Y, and when select line is 0, output is I0. Select line is 1, output is I1. So naturally I can write that Y is equal to S bar ANDed with I0 or with S ANDed with I1. Okay, we can clearly see that there are two AND gates. Okay, okay, so I can make the schematic like this. Okay, so this is the called as the gate level schematic of a 2:1 mux. We are going to make exactly this schematic in DSCH tool. Okay, this is clear. It was just a revision. Okay, so now I will open this, and now I'll start. Are you able to see the tool now, students?
Yes,
Are
sir.
you able to? Yeah, fine, right? So you
Yes.
remember that particular schematic here, it's here. So we are going to make this. Okay, yeah. So what I will do is that I will take an AND gate. I will take another AND gate here. I will take one OR gate. OR gate is here. I will take one NOT gate, which is here. Okay. What I will do, I will take a connecting wire and connect it here, S bar, and I will connect this here. Okay, so what I will do is okay. Now in this tool, if you want to observe output, then you have to put an LED here. It's a rule. Okay. The connecting wire. Okay. Here it is already grounded. Another terminal of LED is grounded. Now we will put 3 clocks, one for select line, one for I0, one for I1. Okay. So this is the clock. So I will take a clock and give it here, and I will connect it. I will rename it afterwards. Okay. First clock. Okay. Second clock. Third clock. Okay. I will name them like this. Double click. Let the name be S. We will change the frequencies afterward. First, we'll change the names. This is I0. I will say OK. I will say this is I1. I1. I'll say OK. I will rename the output to Y. So it is in line with our VHDL program also. Okay. Now what we will do? We will do simulation and see do we need. Okay, fine. There is something which is remaining. Okay. So I'm supposed to connect this here. Okay. Oh, sorry, not this one. Okay. So this AND gate will give me S bar ANDed with I0. This will give me S ANDed with I1, and this OR gate will do the sum of products. Let us simulate it. Let us see what we are getting. Okay. For simulation, we have to do this. We have to run this. Okay. Okay, so we are not able to appreciate that waveform, so I'll have to change some frequencies. Okay, so select line will have the lowest frequency, I0 will have a very high frequency, and I1 will have a relatively lower frequency. So I'll go back to the schematic and I will double and say 2x slower. Okay, 2 times. I will go to I0 and I will say faster, faster, faster. Okay, I will go here and say slower, slower. Okay, let us see what we get. See here, we're getting waveform. So I1 has become too slow, we will make it fast. Now I1 needs to be made little faster because it is only a little bit faster than S. So I will just say 2x faster. Yes, we are here. You see here, I0 is a high frequency clock, I1 is a slower frequency clock, and S is the select line. We clearly see that when select line in the initial part is equal to 0, I0 is coming out, and when S is equal to 1, I1 is coming out. Okay, so this is how. Now this only completes 50% of this assignment. That is, our schematic is made and the simulation number 1 of schematic is correct. Now what I do is this, I will tell the tool to generate a Verilog file here. So I will go here and I will say file, make Verilog file. Okay, so now it will, yeah, so it is telling it is, so this is the Verilog equivalent of the schematic, and I will just name it as what, I will just name it as, yeah, fine. Before this, what I will do, I will save the schematic somewhere. I will say okay, I will say file, save as, and I will, it's here. Okay, so I already have something. I'll say right click, delete. Yes, and I will just give the name here. Okay, Mux21 DSCH, because I'm saving it in my folder on desktop. Okay, so I know that where the Verilog file will go. Save Verilog file, name is there, and it will go where? It will go here. The path is given C:users Asus desktop VLSIDT. Okay, fine. I go to my desktop and I will check whether it is there. It should be here. Okay, we see a text file. I'll open this file and tell you that it is the same program. It is a Verilog program. I will say, okay, it should open with text. Okay, yes, this is a Verilog program which is generated by the tool. I'll close it. Now what I will do is that I will open my another tool. So now this is done. So I will close this. Yes, close this. Open Microwind, and from here I will go and click this option, compile Verilog file. It is asking me where is your Verilog file. So actually it has gone to my desktop folder, but it is looking for V files. But now what I will say text files, and it's here. Given the path of the Verilog program, it's a open, and see now it is telling me Verilog file. I will say compile. I will say back to editor. Here it is. So Microwind tool has generated a layout which is for 2-star multiplexer. We will go and do the simulation here. Okay, let us see if we are getting the same waveform which we got in our Xilinx ISC tool and we got in our DSCH also. Okay, okay, I will remove all the measurements. I will say, and I will also change it to right. Again, we are seeing I0 is a high frequency clock, I1 is a lower frequency clock. Select line, when select line initially is 0, I0 is selected, and at output we get a high frequency clock. When S equal to 1, I1 is selected, I1 happens to be a lower frequency clock, and we get it. So in essence, in today's session, we have seen the following. We first saw the list of university assignments. Then we saw that how many assignments we are going to perform. We have reframed the statements. Then we saw the classification of CAD tools as front end, back end, and we saw the sub classifications. We also told that the tools which we are going to use in lab are Xilinx ISE 14.7, Microwind 3.1, Cadence and DSCH. Xilinx is a separate category. Microwind and Cadence belong to same category, and DSCH belongs to the third category. Then we saw the different steps which are to be followed when we are going to use Xilinx ISE for part A. The steps which we are going to use for part B if we use Microwind tool. We again saw the steps to be followed if we are going to use the DSCH tool for part B again. Then I showed you the snapshots of GUI of all the three tools, Xilinx ISE, Microwind and DSCH. And last, we wrote a VHDL model for 2:1 multiplexer. We synthesized it. We saw the RTL schematic. We saw the technology schematic. After that, we have written a test bench program wherein we have defined frequencies for select line S, I0 and I1. And after it, we simulated the test bench program and we saw waveforms, and we found that our VHDL model is functionally correct. Then we made the layout for a CMOS inverter in Microwind tool, which was conforming to 100 nanometer technology. We have driven our CMOS inverter with 5 gigahertz clock, and we saw that how a 100 nanometer system has the ability to switch at frequencies as high as 5 gigahertz. Then we went on to the third tool where we drew the gate level schematic of a 2:1 multiplexer. We saw the simulation. We called it at simulation 1. We told DSCH tool to generate a Verilog file out of it, and we saved that Verilog file in a particular location. Then I went again back to tool number 2, that is Microwind. And in Microwind, I told it to compile the Verilog file by supplying the location. After compiling, it generated the layout which is there in front of us. And when we simulated it, we saw that the simulation output of the Microwind tool, that is simulation 2, is exactly identical to simulation 1. And these two simulations are exactly identical to Xilinx waveforms. Last but not the least, I want to just show the channel. It's here. So all of you must have seen this drive, that is VLSI practical tools. Most of you must have downloaded it. So it has two folders, part A and part B. Part A has two folders, the Xilinx ISE tool 6.17 GB, and this is another important folder which is needed for downloading the bit file. In part B, if you go, you see two folders, Microwind 3.1 full, which is just 6 MB, it doesn't need any installation, and DSCH03, which also doesn't need any installation. You have to simply click two exe files in that. And this is that YouTube page which I made last year. I have made 4 videos. The longest is 37 because its contents are so deep. So I request all the, not request, I advise all the students, those who are having laptops, please make arrangements for downloading the Xilinx 6.17 GB file. See this video, follow all the installation instructions, and what I did today in front of you is also there. I have showed the steps needed to synthesize a VHDL model for AND gate and also writing a test bench. Okay, that was all from my side, and if students have any questions, then they can ask. Yes, the forum is open. If anybody wants to ask anything, they can ask. Yeah, so as per the information collected by our CCs, our class strength was till yesterday 72, now it has become 73. So at least as per the yesterday's count, 56 out of 72 students have admitted that they are having laptops. I assume that all 56 laptops are in working condition with proper configuration, as said, that 55 GB of free space in C colon, else 25 GB in D colon, etc. And the further session plan is like this, that although I have shared with you the PDF file, which actually shows that in 14 lectures and 3 practical sessions, I am going to cover the entire unit number 1. But we VLSI teachers have unanimously decided we are not going to rush to the syllabus. We have time. So we are going to spend this entire month in learning VHDL programming as much as which is required for a student to perform entire part A assignments. Yeah. Anybody has any questions to ask? If there is any confusion or clarification regarding the content which was shown today? Is it fine? So should we end the session?
Okay, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Yeah. Okay, fine.